If something is yours, you're going to take pride in it. Of all the things that I've done in my life, this is one of the most precious things.
The idea behind the program is to gift a book each month from the day they're born until the month that they turn 5.
We just started this in my home county here in Sevier County, and we thought, well, maybe if we're lucky, it might go a couple of counties over.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
We currently have about 20,800 children in Knox County that are registered for Imagination Library.
Every neighborhood I'm in DC, families know about this program. Grandparents know about this program. It is just, it's a game changer.
If you're lucky and fortunate enough to be in a position to help, you should help.
Are we proud of Dolly? The understatement of the year is yes. Are we grateful to her? Another understatement, yes. Do we expect more from her in the future? Absolutely.
You better get to living, giving, don't forget.
Dolly Parton is a symbol of how you can have a great combination of talent, worldwide recognition, but also give back and give too.
There's a word unto the wise. You better get to living. The end.
Ta-da! Hi, I'm Dolly Parton. You hold the key that can open the door to excitement, adventure, and learning. And it's never too soon to begin. Experts all agree that by reading with your child every day, you can spark their imagination and inspire their early education. These moments with your child will last a lifetime because each time you read with your child, you help them to dream more, learn more, care more, and be more.
Hello, Westminster Rotary Club. My name is Jack Tate, President of the Imagination Library of Colorado. Our mission is to increase literacy in Colorado by ensuring all young children across the entire state may participate in Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. The Imagination Library believes that reading begins at birth, that the benefits of a home library go far beyond just the books, and that parents and guardians are a child's first and best teacher. By providing books at no cost to families, the Imagination Library increases childhood literacy rates, fosters a love of books, and promotes a culture of reading among underserved communities in Colorado. Last year, during the summer of 2020, as a member of the Colorado General Assembly, I worked with my colleague, Senator Jeff Bridges, to pass Senate Bill 185, which created the Colorado Imagination Library program and a mechanism by which the state can champion early childhood literacy. What we all realize now is that access to books early on leads to higher achievement later in school. The creation of the Imagination Library of Colorado and its affiliation with the Dolly Parton Foundation is fantastic news for our local communities and the several existing organizations who are already affiliated with the foundation. This new statewide vehicle will provide one-for-one matching dollars to all the current and future fundraising efforts by the local community affiliates of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, like yours run at the Westminster Rotary. As those of us with the state organization work hard to secure grant funding from both state and foundation resources, We look forward to having the funding available to match your fundraising efforts on the ground and to ensure that every eligible child in your community receives the gift of reading. Thank you for all you do for our kids. 2021 is a great year to make donations to Imagination Library. Let's make it happen.
The court-appointed special advocates play an integral role in ensuring safety and well-being of children across our state, closely supporting children and all their needs. Everyone involved with CASA are extraordinary people from all walks of life who undergo extensive training to provide change and make a difference in the lives of children of all ages within foster care. We know that children in the system who have a CASA volunteer advocating for them are more likely to find a safe and permanent home, succeed in school, and find success in a job. There are a number of ways to support these volunteers' important and critical work. Every dollar goes a long way, but we also need you to use your voice to help spread the word about CASA volunteer opportunities across the state that make a difference, a positive difference in the lives of our children. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you today. I look forward to being able to join you in person safely sometime soon.
If something is yours, you're going to take pride in it. Of all the things that I've done in my life, this is one of the most precious things.
The idea behind the program is to gift a book each month from the day they're born until the month that they turn 5.
We just started.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our virtual roast of Frank DeAngelis. We are so thrilled you've joined us this evening. The show will start in just 10 minutes. For the best experience, I'm going to recommend that you watch our show on your desktop or your laptop computer and do your bidding and donating on your phone. That'll make it much easier. Trying to watch and donate on the same device is going to be a little tough for you this evening. We'll have more reminders throughout the evening. And if you need any help getting registered or placing a bid or making a donation, here's a phone number and a person you can contact right now. Call or text Lori at 303-517-5387. Again, that's Lori, 303-517-5387. If you can't get a hold of Lori this evening, please call her tomorrow, the next day, and the day after that. And she stays up all night. Is that right, Lori? Yes, it is. So grab a beverage, an adult beverage or two if you'd like, and a snack. We're going to begin our program again in just about 10 minutes. Thanks.
You better get to living.
The end. Ta-da! Hi, I'm Dolly Parton. You hold the key that can open the door to excitement, adventure, and learning. And it's never too soon to begin. Experts all agree that by reading with your child every day, you can spark their imagination and inspire their early education. These moments with your child will last a lifetime because each time you read with your child, you help them to dream more, learn more, care more, and be more.
Hello, Westminster Rotary Club. My name is Jack Tate, President of the Imagination Library of Colorado. Our mission is to increase literacy in Colorado by ensuring all young children across the entire state may participate in Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. The Imagination Library believes that reading begins at birth, that the benefits of a home library go far beyond just the books, and that parents and guardians are a child's first and best teacher. By providing books at no cost to families, the Imagination Library increases childhood literacy rates, fosters a love of books, and promotes a culture of reading among underserved communities in Colorado. Last year, during the summer of 2020, as a member of the Colorado General Assembly, I worked with my colleague, Senator Jeff Bridges, to pass Senate Bill 185, which created the Colorado Imagination Library Program and a mechanism by which the state can champion early childhood literacy. What we all realize now is that access to books early on leads to higher achievement later in school. The creation of the Imagination Library of Colorado and its affiliation with the Dolly Parton Foundation is fantastic news for our local communities and the several existing organizations who are already affiliated with the foundation. This new statewide vehicle will provide one-for-one matching dollars to all the current and future fundraising efforts by the local community affiliates of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, like yours run at the Westminster Rotary. As those of us with the state organization work hard to secure grant funding from both state and foundation resources, We look forward to having the funding available to match your fundraising efforts on the ground and to ensure that every eligible child in your community receives the gift of reading. Thank you for all you do for our kids. 2021 is a great year to make donations to Imagination Library. Let's make it happen.
There you go. Let's make it happen this evening. Welcome everybody to our virtual roast of Frank DeAngelis. We're so happy you have joined us this evening. We're going to start the show in just about 5 minutes. And for the best experience, quick reminder, we recommend that you watch the show on your laptop or your desktop device and do any bidding or donating that you're going to do this evening on your phone or wireless device. Trying to watch it on both or on one single device is going to be a little tough, so we recommend that you use 2 different devices. And if you need some help getting registered or placing a bid or making a donation, of course, let me remind you, you can call or text Lori. She's standing by. No one has called her yet. This is a good sign, but she's awfully lonely. We know that. So call her at 303-517-5387. She'd love to hear from you. Grab your beverage, grab your snack. We're going to start the program in less than 5 minutes now. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause, everybody. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are roasting Mr. Frank DeAngelis this evening. We are finally going to do it. Let's hear it for Mr. DeAngelis. Mr. D. Of course, we are here to support the great work of Westminster 710 Rotary Club and CASA of Adams and Broomfield counties. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I want to point out that all of our roasters this evening, you will notice, are not wearing masks. That's because they are all in that 75 plus category and they got their vaccines very early on. So thank you very much. But seriously, they are all properly vaccinated, and we've been having a good time over the last couple of hours here this evening. I think you're going to have a great time with us as well. Before we begin, though, we do want to have just a moment of silence to honor the victims of the Boulder King Supers shooting. Of course, our hearts go out to their families, to their friends, and of course, everyone in our community. Let's take a moment now to pause for the 10 lives that were tragically lost. And thank you for that. And we now want to move into a moment and an evening of celebration as we really honor a great man and a good friend of all of ours. This roast and what we're celebrating this evening through this event is an annual tradition. For the past 7 years, we've been conducting this event. 7 years we're celebrating tonight. Now, of course, we were hoping to do this last year when we got struck by a little pandemic and COVID-19, but there was no way we were going to let that stop us this evening. So many of you know the great work that CASA and Westminster 710 Rotary do, and you know how impactful they are to the lives they touch. But that work would not be possible without all the people in this room and all of you in your rooms at home tonight. And a quick reminder, it can be a little difficult, as I mentioned earlier, to watch this program and bid or donate on one single device. So if you're watching the program on your laptop or your PC, we would recommend that, and do all of that bidding on a wireless phone or device. Lori is standing by to take your questions. If you have any challenges at all in registering, or you have a question about how to place a bid, her phone number is on the screen there. It's 303-517-5387. Again, that's Lori. And she did ask us to mention that for some reason, if you'd like to call her in the next week or two or anytime, she's lonely and would love to talk to you. I think I got that right. In all seriousness, we want to thank Lori for being a big part of the program tonight. Another big part of our program tonight, and a big part of CASA for many years, is a dedicated Rotarian as well, is our district judge, Mr. Ed Moss. And please welcome him to the stage right now. Ed, come on up.
Thank you, Uncle Greg. I've seen firsthand the powerful influence that CASA and Rotary have on our community. Both organizations focus on the health and wealth and well-being of children and the education of children in the community. It's now my pleasure to introduce former Denver Bronco running back, Reggie Rivers.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. You know, I'm former Denver Bronco Reggie Rivers. For those of you who did not follow my NFL career, I'll just give you the highlights. I'm the greatest Denver Bronco in the history of the franchise. Thank you. For those of you who did follow my career, just keep your mouth shut. I can't believe that we are here roasting Frank DeAngelis. This is the 7th year of this event, and I would have expected him to be like number 17 or number 27, but there were only 6 people more worthy than Frank DeAngelis. This is shocking to me, but oh well, I guess it is what it is. Listen, we're going to be checking in throughout the evening to talk about how we can all get involved to help CASA and Westminster 710 Rotary and the young people that they serve. These organizations have these social networks that allow them to gather a conference of people together like we have tonight to support these causes. They have the knowledge and the structure necessary to deliver important services to people in our community who need them, and they have the track record to demonstrate that the work that they're doing really does work. And so we hope that you will feel inspired this evening to make a contribution to serve CASA and serve Westminster 710 Rotary and the work that they're doing. We have a silent auction that's been going on for about a week, and you can still access it. 32auctions.com, you can see here. The website to go there is right here, 32auctions.com/roastauctionlink2021. You can go there. The silent auction will close at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. We've got some featured items in that silent auction that we will focus on a little bit later on in our program, and we will conduct a virtual paddle raiser so we can all get involved to help CASA and the Westminster 710 Rotary. Now, I send it back to, I want to say my good friend, but I don't want to lie to you people. I'll just say back to Greg.
Listen. Oh, Reggie, who loves you? Who loves you, man? Reggie is a good friend. We're going to check back with him throughout the evening. And this is what we're here for, folks, to engage with the work that Reggie's doing on the other side of the room here. So please register to buy one of the great silent auction items, put those bids in, and of course we've got some other auction items to talk about a little bit later. Again, thank you, Reggie. We've got a lot of generous sponsors we wanted to give a shout out to this evening. First, a big thank you to TBK Bank for stepping up as this evening's platinum sponsor. We are so grateful for the work you do. Brian, thank you. Give them a round of applause. We also want to give a shout out to our gold sponsors this evening, Cocopelli Beer Company, the Hayes Family Foundation, Adams County Sheriff's Department. We all appreciate you for being there for CASA and the Westminster 710. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. And now let's thank our silver sponsors, Westminster Public Schools, Adams 12 5-star schools, Mapleton Public Schools, Highland Hills Rec District, RMMI, the Ranch Country Club, where we are standing this evening, Ballyneal Golf Club, Farmers Insurance, and Boss Printing. Our other silver sponsors this evening include Roberta Bourne, Mr. Ed Moss, Judge Moss, Rick and Sharon Fuller, Mark and Lee Harris, Frank DeAngelis, Rich and Shelley Seymour. Let's give them all a round of applause. Our silver sponsors, thank you. All right, let's get started with our roast. You guys ready? Frank, are you ready? No, you are not ready for sure. Mr. Bob Blazer is our first roaster this evening. Bob was born in Greeley, Colorado, all the way back in 1904. I'm sorry, 54. And a year later, he moved to Westminster, Colorado, where he has lived ever since. He attended District 50 schools. He was a 3-sport athlete at Random, graduating the same year as Frank himself. His college career included playing football at the University of Utah and completing his business degree at the University of Southern Colorado while still playing both football and baseball at the same time. Had a very long and successful career in business and sales with a more recent focus on the team sports industry. Now, I'm hearing, Bob, you got plans to retire in June. Is that right?
That is true.
Thank God.
Yes.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, he's been married to his wife, Debbie, for 44 years. She is a saint. They've got 4 kids, and with their spouses, they have blessed them with 9 grandchildren. Congratulations to you, my friend. Please welcome Mr. Bob Blazer.
Thank you very much. When Frank first called me to be a roaster, I was honored. I told him I was honored. It seems like that was about a year ago that he first called me to do this thing, and we're finally doing it. But I told him I was honored, but I also told him that it would be a tough assignment for me for a couple of reasons. The first of which is I'm kind of a soft-spoken, quiet guy. Right, Frank? Yeah. And secondly, I told Frank that he is so squeaky clean. How do I roast a guy who I don't have a lot of dirt on? But we found a few things. I'm also honored to be roasters with these 2 veterans over here. Ted Mink, who I officially met yesterday and is probably one of the funniest guys I've ever listened to, and Chris Dittman, who is a veteran of this roasting career and kind of the Dean Martin of amateur roast. But anyway, I came up with a few things on Frank. I've known Frank for over 50 years. We both went to Random together, graduated in the class of 1972. And we're teammates on the baseball team together. Very good group of athletes that we had back at Random in the 70s. And we made it all the way to the semifinal, undefeated, but lost the final game. And that loss still haunts me. And I think it does Frank too. I mean, we still think about that. But Frank survived it and went on to flourish with a teaching and coaching career starting out at Columbine High School and had a lot of success. So the baseball that he learned at Ranham carried over because Frank did a great job as a coach down there, as I was an umpire and got to umpire a few times for Frank's games too, and won a couple state championships, correct? Yeah.
You didn't help us, but
Thanks, I tried. So, but and Frank also coached, he was an assistant coach in football and won multiple state championships there as well. But enough about Frank, and this is a roast. Frank showed great leadership early on in high school. In fact, his senior year, he organized almost the entire senior class for the senior ditch day. This is my story, and I'm sticking to it. I mean, he had some of the kids going out and taking for sale signs out of front yards of people's house. He had other people that he assigned to bring toilet paper and pretty much trash the school. Thankfully, I declined Frank's invitation to go. I think I was home. I believe I was home that night studying for my SAT test or something like that.
can't even spell SATs.
But that just showed some of the leadership skills that Frank learned in high school that he took on with him for his next career. I've known Frank's family very well. In fact, his brother Tony, I go to him to get my hair cut every 5 weeks. And Tony tells me often how Frank comes to him all the time for advice and really looks up to him. And I said, Tony, I don't know if you've noticed, but your brother's really, really short, and he pretty much looks up to everybody. So, anyway. Boom. But I know Frank's family very well, and I get my hair cut, from, like I said, from his brother Tony. Tony and his sister Luann are always feeling a little bit jealous of Frank because he seems to be kind of the chosen one in the family. Mom and Dad are very proud of Frank and should be, but it kind of gets on Tony and Luann's nerves a little bit that every time they're out in public, they say, "Aren't you Frank DeAngelis' brother?" or "Aren't you Frank's sister?" And they're feeling a little bit jealous about it. And I said, "Come on, you guys are exaggerating a little bit." But then one time Frank and I went over to his mom and dad's house, and we went into the kitchen to get a cold drink out of the refrigerator, and I noticed there was something on the refrigerator, so I went a little closer, and I noticed that there was 2 small wallet-sized pictures on the refrigerator, one of Tony and one of Luann. And I go, "Frank, why don't they have one of you up here?" And he goes, "Follow me." So I followed Frank through this, beautiful, typical Italian house that's through numerous rooms until we get to this basically shrine room. I don't know what Italians call this thing, but it's kind of like a living room that no one lives in. They have got a beautiful couch that's covered in plastic with plastic streamers going into the house. And where was I? So I'm looking around and I look at the wall, and here's this life-size portrait of Frank, beautifully framed, right next to Jesus and Elvis. And so now I owe Tony and Luann an apology because they were right. But it looks like I'm getting the stop sign here, which is probably good. But I just want to tell Frank has been a great friend, and I'm honored to do this for Frank. I love him like a brother, and wish you well, buddy.
Well, many of you know in the room that I retired from being a district court judge last August. And as a judge, I worked closely with CASA, which is an abbreviation for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. And here's one judge's thoughts about CASA. Some families have serious problems, whether it's drugs or alcohol or sometimes mental health issues. And when those problems impact a child's family, the courts can get involved. The court's goals are first and foremost to protect the child. When the court gets involved, there are hearings every few weeks. The judge hears from the child, we hear from the parents, we hear from the county social worker, from the Department of Social Services, we hear from the county attorney. There are attorneys in most cases appointed by the court to represent the child and represent the parents. And what struck me about those hearings was that most of the professionals in the room were all paid by the government, and all of them had too many cases assigned to them. So for them to spend more than a limited amount of time with the child was simply an impossibility. And that's where CASA comes in. CASA volunteers are special people. They're willing to take time away from their own family and their own children and give that time away to a stranger's child. Think about that, to a stranger's child. CASA brings friendship and stability to a child whose family has been marked by instability and chaos. They visit the child in the child's home. They take the kids to the park, or maybe to the zoo, or maybe to a baseball game. And they serve as an example of a responsible and trustworthy adult, something these kids might have not ever had in their lives. CASA volunteers receive extensive training to do this. They file written reports with the judge before the hearings. They attend all the hearings, and they provide their recommendations to the judge. And of all the people in the courtroom, the CASA volunteers have spent the most time with that child. And so their recommendations and their advice is indispensable. The Westminster 710 Rotary Club is devoted to the betterment of children and families, and that's why our club supports CASA, and our club supports other club projects through this annual event. An example of our other club projects is our Computer for Kids program. We ask local businesses like TBK Banks, a principal sponsor tonight, to donate the computers that they're replacing. We clean up the hard drives, we make sure the software is working, and working through the school districts, we have the school districts and the principals of schools identify families that don't have computers in their house. Can you imagine what it would be like to have a child trying to do homework without a computer in the house, or trying to do research projects off a cell phone screen? Since our Computer for Kids program began, we provided computers to over 10,000 families. Another program is Imagination Library. We partner with Dolly Parsons Imagination Library and provide preschoolers with free books, one every month, until they reach age 5, until they reach kindergarten age. Research indicates that preschoolers who have books in their home are better prepared for kindergarten, and that carries on through their schooling. But a Department of Education study has revealed that of low-income families, 61% have no children's books at all in the home. That's 0. Our Imagination Library doesn't just provide books to low-income families. It's our goal to provide books to every preschooler every month in our county until age 5. So Imagination Library and Computers for Kids and CASA and our other Rotary projects are why we're here tonight. All these projects take time and money, and you can help. Click on the donation link, bid on the silent auction items and the live auction items, and help Rotary help children.
I'm Dolly Parton. You hold the key that can open the door to excitement, adventure, and learning. And it's never too soon to begin. Experts all agree that by reading with your child every day, you can spark their imagination and inspire their early education. These moments with your child will last a lifetime because each time you read with your child, you help them to dream more, learn more, care more, and be more.
Hello, Westminster Rotary Club. My name is Jack Tate, President of the Imagination Library of Colorado. Our mission is to increase literacy in Colorado by ensuring all young children across the entire state may participate in Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. The Imagination Library believes that reading begins at birth, that the benefits of a home library go far beyond just the books, and that parents and guardians are a child's first and best teacher. By providing books at no cost to families, the Imagination Library increases childhood literacy rates, fosters a love of books, and promotes a culture of reading among underserved communities in Colorado. Last year, during the summer of 2020, as a member of the Colorado General Assembly, I worked with my colleague, Senator Jeff Bridges, to pass Senate Bill 185, which created the Colorado Imagination Library Program and a mechanism by which the state can champion early childhood literacy. What we all realize now is that access to books early on leads to higher achievement later in school. The creation of the Imagination Library of Colorado and its affiliation with the Dolly Parton Foundation is fantastic news for our local communities and the several existing organizations who are already affiliated with the foundation. This new statewide vehicle will provide one-for-one matching dollars to all the current and future fundraising efforts by the local community affiliates of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, like yours run at the Westminster Rotary. As those of us with the state organization work hard to secure grant funding from both state and foundation resources, we look forward to having the funding available to match your fundraising efforts on the ground and to ensure that every eligible child in your community receives the gift of reading. Thank you for all you do for our kids. 2021 is a great year to make donations to Imagination Library. Let's make it happen.
Thank you, Jack. We appreciate your sharing that with us. And, imagine what Frank DeAngelis could have achieved in his life if he had had access to books. Frank, earlier, Bob said that Frank was short. Now, I haven't seen you in a while, Frank, because A, you retired, and then B, because of this pandemic. But I recall seeing you about 3 years ago, and you were with a class of second graders. And I remember thinking, well, he's the second tallest one. He's not... I think you get a bad rap for your height. When he was describing that shrine, I just couldn't help but smile and imagine that life-size photo of you on the wall. And it was still just a wallet-sized picture. Jeez. But thank you. And Ed, thank you very much for sharing your perspectives about what CASAs do and the way that they represent children in our court system. My wife and I are adoptive parents. We adopted our son at 3. He's now almost 18, and he's doing great. And so we know firsthand that whole experience dealing with CASA. We had a guardian ad litem, which is a different form of a CASA, but we know firsthand how invaluable that was, how important it was to protecting his rights and his the process that he was going through. And so we really are big fans of CASA, and we're glad that the Westminster 710 Rotary is partnering with them to show the support. All right. Please participate in our silent auction. You can go to the link. It's at 32auctions.com/roast auction link 2021. You can bid on vacations, dining and restaurants, sports memorabilia. Somebody asked me the other day, what's a Reggie Rivers autograph worth? I said, well, I don't know. Depends on what you sign. So if you went to, say, a sporting goods store and bought a football for $50 and then I signed it, it would immediately be worth $15 because it's now used and damaged. Hey, who's getting roasted here? This is wrong. All right. The auction is open until 8 p.m. Mountain Time. You can choose to donate any amount directly. You don't have to buy something. You just make a donation. Click that donate button. We will conduct a paddle raiser a little bit later in our show where we're going to invite all of you to get involved, make a contribution, be part of this solution. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Support for Help. It was Lori who's so eager for phone calls. I mean, the woman is sitting over here desperate. What in the world? Going on? Somebody just called her to say hello. Now, back to, I guess, this guy that I used to know, and he says that we're brothers from different mothers. That just sounds like a dad who was going through the community. Back to you, Greg.
Come here, Frank. Revenge is sweet, my friend. It's very sweet. Somebody help him off the orange crate he's standing on, please. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you all again. Our next roaster this evening, I'm almost afraid to bring him up here, is Mr. Ted Mink. He graduated from Random High School as well. You can see a little pattern going on here. He went on to get his degree in social studies from UNC, started his law enforcement career back in 1973, and after an exemplary career at Boulder, Arvada, Jeffco, and the CBI, he served with distinction as Jeffco Sheriff. For some reason, people kept voting for him. 11 years. 11 years, is that true?
Well, whatever you say.
Whatever I say is true. 45 years total in law enforcement. He has done so many things to exemplify his leadership. Among other accomplishments, he spearheaded the Regional Training Academy that serves law enforcement agencies throughout the metro area. He started the West Metro Drug Task Force, Arvada Child Advocacy Center. This is near and dear to his heart. Frank is also near and dear to his heart. I want to be touching for just a moment because he's not going to be. Please welcome Mr. Ted Mink.
Well, thank you for that introduction. It was well-deserved. But I have to apologize because I really wasn't supposed to be here tonight, but the person that was got sick. And I am not very good on the computer, so I just clicked on the wrong link, so I'm here. And unfortunately, I barely know the guy, quite frankly. But I'm here tonight to say some things about Frank because of my 45 years in law enforcement. I have access to a lot of different information. Now, you heard Bob say that he's squeaky clean. No, he's not squeaky clean. No, he's not squeaky clean at all. But we do have something in common. We both went to Random High School. And I'm sure we were probably influenced by some of the same people. One of them is here tonight who gave up 2 shifts at Costco to be here. Chris Goodman. And I'm personally happy to see you because I quite frankly thought you gave up. But you heard about Frank's bio. He has a degree in social studies. What the hell is that? In my day, social studies teachers, they had about all the homeroom classes. They didn't have to teach. So what did you teach? We'll get to that later. But Frank has always wanted to be an athlete and never came quite close other than a room full of participation trophies that he has. And that's another word of saying, bless your heart. Frank did win the race for conception. He outswam about 1 million of his closest friends. So he is a winner in some regards. Frank has served as an inspiration to hundreds of students, including several stalkers And he's helped students wean themselves from addictions, which makes you a wiener. Frank has been held as a model principal. Now, I looked that up in the dictionary, and the definition of model is small replica of the real thing.
Wow. Put the card up.
I'm just saying, I'm just reporting, okay? And believe it or not, Frank carries with him a laminated card from a doctor that says he is smart. And if you want to see it, he'll show it to you later. He was always willing to volunteer. As a matter of fact, I think you've heard from Bob and various people that he was actually the committee chair for his GED reunion committee. Now, Frank, this is a good thing here, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Because by your own account, you were lucky enough to reconnect with the love of your life, your partner, your friend, and soulmate. I hate to tell you this, but she considers herself a hostage. And I feel bad that you're not getting any respect tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty demeaning when you still have to use a booster to order through a drive-thru. And you wrote a book that nobody wants. And you have a lot of friends that are jealous of people that don't know you. But I do want to share, I got to tell you this story because it's really good. So he played baseball, and Coach Jenkins was a baseball coach. And this particular spring, when these guys were seniors, he wanted to inspire the team to be tough. So he brought in this box, 3-foot box, this long. And he says, okay, guys, I'm going to demonstrate to you what I want out of you guys as far as being tough and committed. So he opened the box, and there's a 3-foot long alligator. So he tapped the alligator on the snoot, and the alligator reached up and grabbed Coach Jenkins by the crotch and started shaking. And he was steadfast. He was taking the pain. And after a while, he reached down and he poked the alligator in the eyes, and the alligator walks off to the corner. So he said, guys, this is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of toughness I want. Now who wants to try that? Frank raised his hand, as always, one to volunteer, said, Coach, I'll give it a try, but please don't poke me in the eyes. Frank DeAngelis, the myth, the legend, Mr. USA. Watch this video from CASA. You'll learn something. Thank you.
I am for the child who has been abused, the child who is afraid to go home,
who thinks it's her fault, who is forced to keep a secret or else.
I am for the child who has been neglected,
the child who does not know where his next meal is coming from,
who must fend for herself and her little sister.
Alone.
The child who has never been to a doctor or a dentist.
I am for the child who was taken away
for her own protection.
The child who is now in foster care, who does not know how long he'll be there.
Or who these people are. Or if she should trust them. I am for her.
The child who is in his 3rd,
4th, 5th,
6th foster home this year.
The child who has attended 4 schools in 2 years.
Who sits in back of yet another class surrounded by strangers.
Believing in his heart that no one
cares. I'm for her. The child who has never been told
that he is loved.
That she is smart, beautiful,
talented,
worthy. That she is strong,
courageous.
That she is somebody. I am for her.
The child who one day will turn 18 and will be surrendered to the world.
I am for that child.
So I am there for that child.
To listen to her,
to speak for her.
to champion without compromise for what's in his best interest.
Because if I am,
If I am there for her, I know she will be half as likely to languish in foster care.
And that much more likely to find a safe, permanent home.
She is the child I am for.
He is the child I am for.
They are the children I am for.
She is the child I am for.
the child I am for is him.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
I'm a CASA volunteer.
I am you.
That is a powerful video. Frank DeAngelis is the child that I am for. We just had back-to-back roasters from Random High School. It makes me wonder, how in the world has Random High School held on to its accreditation? And it is true that Frank does have a laminated card in his wallet that tells how smart he is. I wondered aloud one time, I knew that he had a degree in dumbassery. I just didn't know if it was a master's or a PhD. He showed me his card. It's a PhD. All right, so we have reached the time in our program where we can all get involved to support CASA, to support Westminster 710 Rotary, and we're going to ask for your support at different levels. We're going to start high, and we're going to work our way down. And we hope that each of you will contribute at least once tonight. When you hear a level that matches your means and matches your commitment to the young people that CASA and Westminster 710 Rotary are supporting. If you want to make a donation, you'll see this on the auction site. If you chose, say, $2,500, you click that, you're going to go to this other screen that will show you the donation amount, and you click buy now. And so it's not like an auction, it's just you choose the amount you want to give, you click buy now, you'll get a confirmation page, and then you click purchase on there, and that's how you can make a contribution tonight at whatever level you'd like to make a gift. And I'm going to invite my friend Ed to come in here. A lot of people were wondering, who of us was the tallest, me or Ed?
I'm glad you're done with all the short jokes.
Right. Well, you're not getting roasted tonight.
Ah, okay.
If Frank were over here, oh boy, boy, would he. But listen, we're gonna start off by asking for a gift of $5,000. If you're sitting in this audience tonight and you have the means to make a gift of $5,000, and you're saying, you know what, if Westminster 710 Rotary and CASA really told me that they needed me, if they really needed me to step up, then I would do it. Well, consider that message being sent. They really need you. This is a moment. There's been a lot happening over the past year because of COVID. There's more kids who need support than ever before, and so we need your support. We can't do this without you. If you have the ability to make a $5,000 gift, we're asking you to do that right now on this site, and we will recognize you in just a moment. And you talked earlier about this Dolly Parton Imagination Library. How would a gift of $5,000 help you guys with that?
You know, Reggie, a gift of $5,000 would be absolutely huge. We've got 37,000 preschoolers in our county. And if we get enough money tonight, we can, with the state's help, we can provide a book once a month for every preschooler until they reach age 5, all 37,000.
37,000 just in this county.
Right.
That is amazing. And then that's ambitious to want to be able to provide a book a month. But if we all think about our early education and the reason that we've achieved the education that we have, that we've had the success that we've had, so much of it is about that early investment in us. And we're asking you to invest in some of these kids in our county as well. Let's step down one level to $2,500. Your Computers for Kids program that you described earlier, that's pretty amazing and innovative.
It is. And we received a national award or international award from Rotary for that program. One of the things that's important to know about that program is we've got a lot of costs involved. We've got to do a lot of cleaning of hard drives. We've got to replace a lot of hardware. It's not something that just happens by itself. So we can really use donations to help out with our Computers for Kids program.
That's fantastic. Okay, a gift of $2,500 would help go a long way in helping to continue that. We're going to step down another level to $1,000. $1,000, you had your dictionaries for third graders and Frank.
Right, and for Frank, third grade dictionary. And it's really more than a dictionary. It's like an almanac and a dictionary combined. And we have 5 school districts in the county. We work with all 5 school districts, and for the Westminster School District, we will provide a dictionary for every third grader every year. And I just delivered about 75 dictionaries this morning to 2 of the schools that were open after spring break.
That's fantastic. Look at the guns on this guy. 75 dictionaries.
Yeah.
Carried him in one trip.
They were about this big.
Oh, gotcha. They're not pamphlets, they're dictionaries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Listen, third grade, we know, for those of you who are in education, you know third grade is reading acquisition year. That this is the year when the bulk of the kids are going to learn how to read and when these dictionaries are of most use to them, and you can help provide that. And so we want to say thank you to Lee Harris. Thank you for your gift at $1,000. We appreciate you stepping up and supporting CASA and supporting the programs of the Westminster 710 Rotary. And so we're now getting into the levels where more and more of us can contribute. Maybe you didn't have $5,000 or $2,500 to contribute, but can you be part of a $1,000 team? Can you donate $1,000 yourself? Could you donate $500 and every 2 people creates another $1,000? Could you donate $250 and every 4 people creates $1,000? Could you donate $100 and every 10 of you creates another $1,000? Can you join us tonight and become part of a $1,000 team to support the work that we're doing here? And we're going to step down now to the $500 level, the Rotary Youth Leadership Academy. Tell me about that.
Well, Rotary Youth Leadership Academy, or what we call RYLA, takes middle school and high school kids and sends them to a summer camp, no cost to them whatsoever. And between our Westminster 710 Club that meets at 7:10 in the morning and the Westminster Noon Club, we send 20 kids every year to RYLA, that summer camp. And with our fingers crossed, COVID will be gone and we'll be able to send them this year, but if not, we'll use that money for next year.
That's great. I wonder if it was a random graduate who named the Westminster 710 Rotary.
We used to be known as the 712 Rotary, but we didn't have that many people that could count that high.
That's a good point. These are interesting historical facts. At the $500 level, we have one anonymous gift. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. I want to say thank you to Richard Hayes. We appreciate your gift of $500. Thank you to Liz Clark for your gift of $500. Please keep those donations coming. We need your support to raise as much as we can tonight to serve the CASA of Adams Broomfield. I'm the right CASA, right? Yes. CASA of Adams Broomfield and Westminster 710 Rotary, because they meet at 7:10 in the morning. It is in the morning.
It is in the morning. Well, not right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm surprised that the random graduate didn't say 7:10 a.m., but maybe he wasn't that advanced. All right. So CASA. We have a couple young ladies from CASA who are sitting here. CASA, as I said, my family and I, we went through the CASA process. Why have you guys chosen to support CASA?
Well, it's really interesting. There was another judge from my courthouse that was very involved in CASA and actually was part of the founding of CASA in the Adams Broomfield area. And he came to our club and gave a CASA presentation. And we just kind of adopted that as such an important program for our county and for Broomfield County and for our kids that really need help more than most any other kids that we could identify.
Right. And you know, when you think about it, if you think of your kids facing anything in their lives, if they had to go to court for any reason, You can't imagine that you wouldn't be there, that you would get them legal advice if you could afford it. If you couldn't afford it, you get a public defender. You would do whatever was in your power to make sure that your children were not standing in court by themselves. And that's what has impressed us about the work that CASAs do, that these kids are so vulnerable and they have already had their trust betrayed by so many adults in their lives, that now here they are in front of all of these strangers, a judge that they don't know, lawyers, social workers, all these people that they don't know, and often that CASA is the only consistent adult in their lives at that time.
That's right, and some CASAs stay with these kids, they go back to their families, but they maintain that relationship through college, through adulthood. It's a wonderful bonding that they do together.
We want to say thank you to Mac Eckstein for your gift of $250. We appreciate you. Sadavisha Duda, and I apologize if I've mispronounced your name. Marvin Holting, thank you very much. We also have an anonymous gift at $250. Please keep those donations coming in. We need your support. We want to say thank you to David DeMott at $1,000. David, we appreciate your generosity and support. We're going to step down one more level to $100. And at $100, I'm hoping that if you have not yet made a gift tonight to CASA or to Westminster 710 Rotary, to what we're raising money for here, if you have not yet made a gift, we're asking you to do that right now. I'm asking you to make a donation of $100. If you have already made a gift tonight, I want to say thank you for your generosity. How about making one more? What if everybody made a tag-on gift of $100 and we just give it out there and let's see where we can get. I want to recognize a few people here. Patricia Jarzobski, thank you for your $100 gift. Michael Dimana, thank you for your $100 gift. Jacques Russell, thank you for your $100 gift. Jacques Russell? Jackie Russell. Okay, Jackie Russell. Because I was thinking of the terrier, but that's not.
Yeah, it's a little dog.
I think in France they call it the Jacques Russell. Thank you, Jackie. With Doug Hall, thank you for your gift of $100. Sharon Novell, thank you for your gift of $100. Larry and Mary Cobb, we appreciate you at $100. Maureen Fowler, thank you for your gift of $100. Trevor Harris, Dinsmore Tuttle, Judy Hoffman, William Campbell, Mark Wetherington, two anonymous gifts, Joel Noble, Donald Tripp, Tracy Dorland, Martin Waters, James Hoops. Thank you all for your gifts of $100. We appreciate your support and your commitment. So please keep those gifts coming in. A little bit later on, we will give you an update on our fundraising total so far tonight. Lori Goldstein, thank you for your gift of $250. So keep those gifts coming in, and we'll give you an update a little bit later on in our program. But right now, I want to hand this back off to the guy who's on the other side of the room. Not quite a friend, not quite an enemy, but just a guy. Greg.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Red. Yeah, thank you very much. You know, Reggie's stalling to add up all the dollars because it is a lot of math. And Reggie, we're right there with you. But it is a lot of math, and we want to thank you for all your contributions. Keep them coming. There's plenty of time for you to still participate, and we want to thank, of course, our sponsors that you're going to see at the bottom of the screen scrolling throughout the rest of the evening, too. But we've got one final roaster, believe it or not. Sorry, you're not out of this yet. He is a native Coloradan, Chris Dittman. Graduated, that's what it says, graduated high school in 1962 from Westminster High, and after college and a stint in semi-pro baseball, he became a teacher at Random High School. So that explains a whole lot. His roles over the years include teacher, coach, umpire. He was an athletic director, eventually principal at every level of education. His passion, no kidding though, for his students and his parents and his really community prompted a return from retirement, not once but twice. I must say he was also the teacher of our sons as well, which also explains a lot. But we don't hold that against you. No, really, he's an awesome guy. He's been a member and past president of the Westminster Noon Rotary Club because he usually was too hungover to be there at 7:10. He served as a Westminster City Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem as well, which also explains a lot. about the shape of City of Westminster, but we won't hold that against you either. He's had a distinct pleasure of roasting Frank when he retired from Columbine High School. He's going to reprise that role again tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Chris Dittman.
Well, you know, there's an advantage of being last because they've got these signs out there and tell us how many minutes we've got. I got as much as I want because what the hell are you going to do? Chase me out of here? Reggie, I got to tell you, I don't think the books work for you in the kindergarten, and I don't think they work for you. I'm sorry. I know they didn't work for Frank. I've known Frank for 50-some years, and it's really incredible because I'm 58 now, and so I was kind of a child prodigy, and I did go to Westminster High School, which kind of breaks up this thing, but I taught at random forever, and I had all these three of these. Do you see what I have to work with? I mean, really, what I have to work with, and not just them, their siblings, you name it, I had to work with them. Frank's the only guy I know that would donate to this organization, which is a worthy cause, it really is, just to get lambasted by guys like, you know, yeah. So, and Greg, are your kids out of jail yet? Okay.
They're doing good.
That's good to know. I care about them. I just want to know. Okay. I've known him for over 50 years. He went to Mount Carmel. And then he and his, I call him his posse, 4 or 5 kids came to Ranham because Mount Carmel closed. They ran out of nuns, and they ran out of rulers. And Frank's the large cause of that because he set the record to have rulers broken over his head, which also explains some things about Frank's mental capacity. He came into Ranham. He was a baseball. He played different sports, but he was a baseball player. That was his first love, and so he came out for baseball at Ranham, and we had a good program going, and we tried to judge kids on the 3 big areas: can you hit, can you throw, can you run? Well, Frank couldn't do any of those, so it was sorry, Frank. It was tough. We had to work with him a little bit. He had a little trouble hitting the curveball, so I bought him an ironing board. I figured if he could swing that ironing board and hit a baseball, he'd be okay. Now you got to imagine this. The problem was the ironing board was bigger than Frank, and he couldn't even pick it up. He was a really integral part of our baseball program, and I'll tell you that when I end this tribe. He was, well, the ironing board didn't even help him bunt. How can you not bunt with an ironing board? Sorry, Frank. Everybody thinks he's St. Francis of Assisi, and these 2 clowns down here already took away some of my fire. Sorry, Ted, I didn't mean to call you clown. And they, can you imagine Mink as a student? He wasn't any different than he is now. I mean, really, the teachers hated him. No, they liked him a lot. And then Bobby was one of my favorite kids too, and baseball player. He's a good baseball player, good athlete. I nicknamed him Howdy Doody. Look at him. And anyhow, but I've known Frank for a long time, and when he was at school, he was a good student. He never missed a class. Now, it's not the same for his buddies. So one day, I said to Frank, "Where's Rocco and where's the goose?" Now, with those names, you know what they're like. And Frank says, "Go look out the window." My class, 2nd floor, so I look out the window, Main Street goes by Ranham, and here comes Rocco and the goose, driving up the street, waving at me. And they're supposed to be my class. I had a lot of patience with those 2. Now, they both turned out great. Sorry, Frank. 2 out of 3 is bad. the thing I loved about Frank was how much time have I got? Oh, no, 2 minutes? Oh, 2, okay, good. 5, all right. The thing I liked about Frank, I love Frank. He knows that. And he is a baseball player in high school. He was a great part of that team because he could see things that people couldn't see. And he would tell people, I didn't listen to him, but the coaches did. And he did just a wonderful job. And when he played hard. If he could have just only thrown and run and hit. He was studying accounting when he got out of high school and went to college. Accounting. And I had the feeling it was because he grew up in North Denver. And I don't know if you guys have a history of North Denver, but a lot of Italians. And they do different things. And so they needed a creative accountant. Frankie was the man, because every Italian in Denver, especially on the north side, is related to each other. They all are. So I said, Frank, you're wasting your time. He goes, what do you mean? Hey, what do you mean? And then I thought, no, all right, get out of here, Rocco. And you had to teach. You need to teach, because you have a connection with kids. You're good at what you do. And I got to observe this over all the time. He taught for 15 years. Longer than that. 18? 18 years. I kept you that long? Okay. He had a great relationship with his baseball team. He was a good baseball coach. We got in trouble one time because I was umpiring. It was a state tournament game, wasn't it? We're in the state tournament, and I'm umpiring third base, and he came down to coach third base, and I put my arm around him. The other coach got suspicious. And then, and I don't know why. But anyhow, he just had a wonderful with kids. And when he became principal, it was the best choice they could ever make. And he was up against one of the brightest guys I know. I didn't think he had a chance against this guy. And the reason I can say that guy was me. And this is honest God, true story. So we go through the whole interview, and I didn't know Frank was doing it, but we go through the interview process. And I come in the night for the final interview, and that's when they have moms and dads and janitors, anybody that could get in to sit in that room. I've been recruited by 2 of the district what were they? They were
area administrators.
Yeah, they were big-time administrators. So they recruited me. And I didn't know Frank was running. And I saw him walk in, and there he is, and I figured he's standing after school because they caught him on a stepladder, and they know that's dangerous. And he had just finished his first year as assistant principal. Well, I've been a principal for a long time by that time. And so they go in the interview, and they interviewed me first. And here's the last question they asked me. This mom said, well, why would we hire you? And I said, I'm not sure why you would. I said, because to be a successful principal, you have to have 3 things. You got to have a good relationship with your staff, great relationship with kids, and a great relationship with, who else did I say? Parents. And then in Columbine, you better have a good relationship with parents because they'd be living in his house. In Westminster, I got brownies when their kid graduated. And I said, you got a guy sitting out here in the waiting room to interview with you guys. He's got all those things. He's been there for 15, 16, 17 years. The kids love him, the parents love him, and the staff loves him. So what the hell are you talking to me for? Well, the guys that recruited me are going, oh, Chris, you dumb shit. Well, there's a truth to the matter. Columbine was a great school. I went down there, and the kids were nice kids, and what happened with at Columbine was you don't see that coming. I know he didn't. And I've never seen anybody in my whole career that could have done what he did after that. Nobody. And I know a lot of principals. Nobody could have done that. But Frank did it. He brought that community back together again. And he is just really remarkable. It was a remarkable thing. Now he travels all over the world. He's a hot shot. I offered to be his agent. Wrote a book.
You contributed to that book. That's why it's halfway.
Well, I wasn't in there enough. I mean, I could have been in chapter 23 or 4. All right. Anyhow, so I roasted him when he graduated, and this is a tough act to follow. How do you follow Mink and then Reggie? I mean, Reggie's got control, and he does it, and he's funny. Mink's a riot. Bobby, yeah, no, you're good. But it's a tough act to follow. But Frank, I just want you to know, I couldn't be more proud of you. I just couldn't. And I know his family, and I got to tell you, Tony, his brother, is really the number one child. Number one. They just treat Frank differently because he's more well known. Nobody knows Tony, but he is the apple of their eye. And Luann too. And so I hope they're watching this, Tony. You owe me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. And I know that Frank does travel all over the world now. He's the only person I know who's comfortable on Spirit Airlines. When I come, seats are so tight, it's just crazy. You know, a lot of people don't know this, and no one has brought it up so far, but Frank does wear a lot of makeup because he's got a Bud Light tattoo on his forehead, but you can't even see it. I mean, it is really well concealed. Foundation really does work. And he's not as bad an athlete as everyone is saying that he is, because he was actually a pretty good swimmer when he was in high school. He just couldn't get any of the other schools to agree to add 200-meter dog paddle as an event. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we have 4 items, special items, that we want to bring your attention to. They are in our silent auction, but before we do that, we're going to share our running total so far. What have we raised thus far? I say thank you to all of our donors. We're at $92.50 so far. Please keep those donations coming in. Want to say Roger Gundenkoff at $500, thank you very much. And at $250, Lori Goldstein, Matthew Seitz, Robert Grant, Chris Godowski, and another anonymous gift. So please keep those gifts coming in. We appreciate you, and we'll give you another update at the end of the program here. But right now we want to bring your attention to 4 special items, 3 trips and a golf outing. And the first one is a fabulous private residence beach vacation for 4. You could choose from St. Martin, the Bahamas, or Costa Rica. This is for up to 4 travelers for 4 nights. And if you choose St. Martin, you're going to enjoy a European Mediterranean feel. Say 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condominium, kitchen, laundry room, washer, dryer, all the convenience for holiday living. If you choose to go to the Bahamas, you're going to have an exquisite ocean views. You're going to be at Cable Beach, infinity pool, cabana, gym, bar area, private beach adjacent to the $3.5 billion Baja Mar Resort and Nassau. And listen, when you're next door to an event like that or a resort like that, you swim out into the water, you go over past the fence, you come in on the other side, and you get yourself some beverages. If you take your kids with you, they've got to keep up. You could choose Costa Rica. Los Sueños Resort and Marina, 2-bedroom, 2-bath condominium, zip line, ATV tours, stand-up paddle raising, stand-up paddle boarding. So lots of good things you could choose from in that trip. Our bidding right now is, where are we on that one? We are at $25.95 or $28.95. So get your bids in if you'd like to take this trip. Next up, we have a fabulous Hawaiian vacation, Aloha Maui. This is welcome to the Fairmont Kealani, Hawaii's only all-suite oceanfront resort. It's for 4 nights, 1-bedroom luxury suite with daily breakfast for 2 people. This is an 860 square foot living space in true Hawaiian comfort and style, natural beauty, and Hawaii's charm and hospitality are awaiting you. Get your bids in on this. The bidding right now is at $33.95. Donna Alenji is in the lead on that one, so keep your bids coming in. Our next item here, we have a luxury Mexican resort vacation for 2 people. This is a 7-night stay. It's a AAA 4-diamond luxury Mexican resort. You can choose from Nuevo Vallarta, Riviera Maya, Acapulco, Los Cabos, or Puerto Peñasco. In addition, you could add up to 2 children under the age of 12 at no cost. But why would you? You've been with these kids for a year. If you're going to go on vacation, it's grandma's time to watch the kids. You're going on vacation. You're not taking 2 kids under 12 with you. However, if you do take 2 kids under 12, what you could choose is the, which one is it here? One of these has a kids club where you just drop them off. Nuevo Vallarta, that's what it is. Aqua Park and the kids club, right? When we take our kid on vacation, we would bring books with them. And I would say, hey, do you want to go to the kids club? Or you want to do some homework? These kids learn how to make a choice, make a decision, pick their path in life, what they think is going to be fun for them. Just don't bring them. Leave them at home. Okay, and finally, we've got an amazing opportunity, the renowned Ballyneal Golf Club. This is a private club destination. It's in the high plains of Holyoke, Colorado. Club is known for its minimalist style of play, harkens to the traditions of the game. I know that most of you can't golf that well, but listen, you're going to have a caddy, and that caddy will hold you accountable. You're not going to shoot the round you normally shoot because you're going to have a witness. But get your bids in on this right now. That's at $800. The Mexican resort is at $1,200. Get your bids in. All of our auction items are going to close at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And now, you know, I've been giving you a hard time, Greg, and I don't mean any of those things that I said earlier. What I really mean is you are one of my dearest and closest friends. Greg Moss.
I do love you, Reg. Thank you. Reggie Rivers, everybody. Give him a round of applause. He is awesome. All right. Don't you think it's time we give Frank a little time to rebut? Because you've got some rebutting to do, or yes, whatever. Let me tell you a little bit about Frank before we get him up here. He started at Columbine High School in 1979. First as a social studies teacher, head baseball coach, assistant football coach, dean of students, assistant principal, became principal, in 1996. He's a Colorado native. He graduated, as you know, from Ranham, from Metro State, from the University of Colorado with a master's degree in secondary ed and social studies. He then received his master's degree from the University of Phoenix and went on to get his principal's license. He's received multiple awards, all very well deserved for his teaching and leadership. He was Colorado High School Principal of the Year, one of 3 finalists for the National Principal of the Year. As you heard, he is now speaking all over the country and all over the world about very important topics. He retired in 2014 after 35 years at Columbine High School. He serves as a consultant for safety and emergency management for Jeffco Schools. Highly respected, sought after. He is our guest of honor tonight. He is a great sport. He's got a great heart as well, but don't let that stop you. Please welcome Frank DeAngelis.
Thank you.
You know, my parents said if you don't have something nice to say, then don't say anything. So you people have a good night. You know, I knew I was going to be roasted by these 3, but I didn't realize my Sicilian cousin Reggie was going to be roasting me tonight. So thanks, Reg. I didn't see that one coming. You know, one of the things, and Ed said, are these signs going to be able to help to, you know, make sure that they cut their time down? I said, the only way you're going to get them to stop talking is tase them, and that would have probably been the only thing with Mr. Dittman over there. But it's real interesting. If this event was supposed to be live a year ago, and if that was the case, we probably wouldn't have had 3 roasters because they're usually in bed by 7 o'clock, and there was no way they would have been able to do this, so this worked out very well. One of the things my parents always said is respect your elders, and so, Sheriff Mink, I have so much respect for you. And the question that I have, do you still have authority to issue citations and things?
Sure.
Okay, Bobby Blazer wanted me to ask you this question. He said, what was it like being a student at Ranham High School in the 1950s?
Well, since it wasn't built then, it was pretty bad.
Well, the other question, I know you played football for Coach Blazer, and what was it like to play with leather helmets back in the day? Because that explains a lot of the things that are going on in your life right now, so thank you. But Ted Mink, you know, I'll tell you, he was a true mentor, and one of the experiences that I had with him is I was getting ready to do one of my first presentations, and we were sitting at a place, it was in front of law enforcement, attorneys, behavioral scientists, and all of a sudden, I mean, he just did a wonderful presentation, and you could hear a pin drop. So all of a sudden, they turn it over to me, and I'm getting up telling my story, and about 2 minutes in, he's underneath the table tickling me and rubbing my leg up and down, and I start laughing. Needless to say, the speaking career went downhill after that. So, Sheriff Mink, thank you so much. You know, Bobby Blazer, what a dear friend, and he made it pretty straight when I came to Ranham. He said, basically, if we're going to have any success on this baseball team, he said, you're not very tall. So he said, when you get up to the plate, squat down, and in order to throw a strike, they're probably going to have to roll it. And he said, if we have any chance, you get on base and I'll knock you in. And that was Bobby Blazer. And Bobby, you can ask many of his teammates, we paid, because he was one of the biggest bench jockeys that Ranham High School ever saw. And talk about competitive. When we, after graduation, we remained friends, and one of the most competitive people I've ever played with. But we were in a situation, and every year a group of our friends got together and we were involved. It was called the DeBell Classic. So we're playing golf over at Highland Hills, and it was a scramble tournament. So all of a sudden, Bobby's team was in contention, and my team was in contention. I think my brother was on my team. So all of a sudden, we're coming up to the 18th fairway, or the green up on the 18th hole, and all of a sudden, we hit some great approach shots. We're walking up, and we have a pretty good chance. Next thing you know, Bobby Blazer turns around and he drops his pants. And all we saw was this big white moon that was facing us in the middle of the day. We all missed the putts. And so that's the kind of competitor Bobby Blazer was. And as a result of that, I have to go into counseling anytime I see a full moon. So Bobby, thank you so much for that. And my dear friend, Mr. Dittman, you know, back in the day, a word that we used back in the 70s, he was really cool. But I remember I was going over to Clement Park one day to watch a softball game for Columbine, and all of a sudden, here's this Harley coming up, and someone says, hey, Frankie DeAngelis, and I knew I had enemies, you know, in North Denver, but I didn't think I had any enemies with the Hells Angels. But here's Chris Dittman over there, comes up and shakes my hand, and that baseball story, and I got to tell you, Mr. Dittman, even though you put your arm around me, and one of my assistant coaches said, I don't know about the optics, man, you're hugging the umpire, and I said, it did a lot of good. He hadn't given us a call all day, so thank you so much. And then when I was a baseball president, and they all said, did you ever have that Dittman umpire? God, he is pathetic. He said, he needs to get his eyes checked. And I said, I can attest. He gets a test every year. He just doesn't wear the glasses that they prescribe for him. So what a mess. But anyway, these three men are so important in my life. The reason I got into education was because of Mr. Dittman. And he was a person. Within 24 hours after the Columbine tragedy, he called me, and he was there every step of the way. And Ted Mink, as sheriff, what he meant to me in the Columbine community. And he helped me so much prepare the community, and he was just, I can't express all you did to help us get through that. And my dear friend, Bobby Blazer, as he pointed out, he was a salesman, and I used to love when he used to come into Columbine High School to meet with the coaches and things, but he left me a note one day. It told me how proud he was to be my friend and an inspiration, and I kept that note on my desk. And I was so honored, you know, because his wife and my wife went to school together. We've been friends, and I've been to all his kids' weddings. So thank you for roasting me, and I still love you all, but thank you so much. Thanks.
And thank you, Frank. You know, Frank, we've got a special honor for you right now. Let me introduce Kevin Massey, who is the president of the Westminster 710 Rotary Club Foundation, who's going to come on up right now and tell you about a very special honor that not many people have the opportunity to receive and have bestowed upon them. So please welcome Kevin to the stage right now. Kevin.
Frank, a couple things before I go into what this presentation is about. And one, I really like those nice things you said about them, but I still think I could right now be your best friend. Second of all, I thank you for everything you've done. This presentation is from a gentleman that got hold of me a year ago. And he found out about what we were doing. And he asked me if I would give this special award to you. And there's a letter that goes with it. And it says, I had the privilege of meeting Frank DeAngelis at a leadership seminar in California recently when I heard him tell a story of Columbine High School from his perspective, relaying what he did that day and ever since, not from ego or personality gratification, but just to tell the story. I was deeply moved. He has given significantly of himself to his students, the parents, and the teachers and helped them deal with the pain. He stayed at Columbine purposefully until every student who was there at the time had left or graduated. His commitment to dedication to his community shows me that he is a Rotarian at heart, even if not a member of a club. He still knows the names of the 13 individuals who were killed that day and makes sure they will always be remembered. That night after I heard it, I was moved to give him a Paul Harris Fellow as a small means of showing his appreciation and dedication to others. I had no time to get a pin by the next day and by the next morning, so I ceremoniously gave him my Rotary pin instead. Do you remember any of this?
Yes, I do.
Said, I'm also pleased to know that President Kevin Massey, again, this is from a year ago, I'm not president anymore of the club, but of the foundation, will personally provide him with a Paul Harris Fellow pin and certificate tonight during your function. Frank has inspired me with his service above self lifestyle. From Barry Rasson, and he was the President Rotary International of 2018 and 2019. So if you could stand up. Here's your pin. And there's your award.
Thank you, Kevin. And Frank, don't sit down because those of you who know Frank, he's got a huge heart. And he is here with us tonight to take not only a little gentle ribbing and maybe some hard ribbing as well, but he's here to say a few special words about why he's here and what these two organizations we're here for mean to him and what it means to his heart. So Frank, I'll let you have a few minutes.
Thank you so much. You know, it was a few years ago, I gave a speech to the Rotary Club, and a few months later, Roger Gudenkoff called me and asked me to have coffee, and he said, you know, we would really like to do a roast. And I said, well, why me? And he said, you know, we just feel that, you know, what you've done and what you can do, you really relate to what we're doing. And the Westminster Rotary is so important to me, and I see the difference that you make in Westminster School District. And I know what CASA does, and it always has a special place in my heart. And one of the things that stood out, Roger and his wife Shirley were really good friends with my mother and father-in-law, the Wethingtons, and they were there to support. And the thing I said to him is when and where. And it's an honor to be here. You know, one of the things that is so important to me, as Mr. Denton pointed out, I thought I wanted to be an accountant, but there wasn't that passion there. And I remember something that I think he told me. He said, choose a job you love and you never have to work a day in your life. Love what you do and do what you love. And there was never a day that I regretted walking into that school at Columbine High School. And I could remember people saying, oh, you're going to be an educator, but why would you want to live in a state of poverty for the rest of your life? And they weren't too far off. My first contract was about $10,000, and this was in 1979. But what I tell people You can't put a price tag on when a kid comes up to you and says, Coach D, how are you doing? Coach D, thanks for making a difference in my life. And as a result of that, I am one of the richest people on the face of this earth. And I am so indebted for doing that. I was at Columbine for 20 years, finishing my 20th year, and April 20th occurred, 1999, a day in which my life changed forever. And I was in my office when my secretary ran in and she stated, Frank, there's gunfire in your school. And if you would have asked me 20 years ago, could a Columbine have happened at Columbine? I said no. Just as the people up in Boulder said this past few weeks, it cannot happen there. And I say this can't be happening. This has to be a senior prank, because I could count on two hands the number of fistfights we had in that school in my 20 years. But when I came out of my office, my worst nightmare became a reality, because I'm facing a gunman and he's firing a gun and glass is breaking behind me and I blacked out. And I can remember, I thought I walked out very calmly, but I actually sprinted down the hallway. And I had law enforcement agents saying, Frank, why would you run down the hallway towards the gunman? One reason and one reason only. Some of my kids were in trouble. They were coming out of a locker room to go to a physical education class, and their lives were going to be endangered. And back in the day, the only drills we did were fire drills. We didn't do all the drills that these kids are doing now as far as lockdown and lockouts and things of that nature. So I'm able, and I knew if I got the girls into the gymnasium, we would be able to get outside, and everything was going as planned. The shots of the gunmen are getting closer. All of a sudden, I reach on the door, and the door is locked, and we're trapped. And we had nowhere to go. And on that fateful day, I reached into my pocket, and I had about 25 keys on a key ring. And the first key I pulled out of my pocket opened the door on the first try. And I was so lucky that I was able to find that key. And it was 2 years ago. I'm at a state softball game for Columbine. They won the state championship, and one of the girls comes up to me, and she's crying, and I'm crying. She gives me a hug, and she said, Mr. D, I am so glad you found that key, because if you didn't, that girl wouldn't be standing there in right field for the Columbine Rebels. That's what it's all about, helping. And there are so many things that day that'll be etched on my mind for the rest of my life. I end up going down to Leawood Elementary, and that was a reunification center. And there were families there wondering if their kids would walk through the doors to be reunited. And I can remember as the night went on, buses, and my brother was down there along with a friend, John Wasker, was down there, and what we saw that night, buses coming, and all of a sudden some parents came up and said, Frank, we don't see any more buses. What's going on? And that's when a grief counselor came over to me and said, Frank, you need to take these families into the room and tell them there's a good chance that their family members lost their life in your school. And that is something I was never prepared for. And I can remember going home. I couldn't even go to my house that night, that I had to go to my brother's house, and thinking that there's nothing I can do to bring back these 13. There's nothing. But I'm going to make sure they did not die in vain. And that's why this is so important, the significance of this event, because I made a promise to help these kids, moving forward. And so when I'm called upon, this is a no-brainer, and that's why this event tonight means so much to me. And I had so much support. My mom and dad, my brother and sister, and my sister-in-law Shanda, and brother-in-law Ted, and my high school sweetheart, who is still being held hostage. But we have been together for 20 years. She's the love of my life and my soulmate. And I'm so proud of my children, Nicole, who's a nurse at Children, and Matt, who's a firefighter for Westminster Fire. It's so important. And then I had my friends, people that I grew up with, and there's a common theme here. The Rocky Carboni and the Ricky DeBell and the Michael Butchies and Jerry Caruso's. And we had so many friends, and the John Wassingers, and they were there every step of the way. And then the people from Ranham and the alumni from Westy. We were rivals on the fields and courts, but we were friends. And many of the people that graduated from Westminster reached out, and that's what it was all about. But something happened to me that really changed my life. And I'm a cradle Catholic. I don't know if ever in your life things happen and you start questioning your faith. I was there. And all of a sudden, Father Ken Leone called me to the church, St. Francis Cabrini, and I had been a member of the parish. He calls me up on the altar, and he whispered something in my ear, and he said, Frank, you should have died that day. But God's got a plan. And he quoted Proverbs 16:9. He said, in his heart a man plans his course, but the Lord determines his step. And he's going to be there every step of the way with you. And that was my challenge, to help rebuild that community. And I was going to stay for 3 years, and I still had a good 10 years, and I could have went to another school. But I decided in those 3 years I couldn't leave. And that's when I made a commitment to stay until every kid was in the elementary school graduated. And I was getting ready to graduate, or excuse me, I did graduate, I think I graduated in 72. I was getting ready to retire. And all of a sudden, a friend of mine, Ricky DeBell, and I were going to both retire in the same year, and that was going to be 2012. And all of a sudden, a parent calls up and said, Frank, you can't retire. And I said, no, I made that commitment. They said, you don't understand. My kid was in the first year of a 2-year preschool program, so you need to stay a couple more years. And so I stayed for 15 years, and it was the best plan I ever did. The significance of this event is I see the work that the Westminster 710 AM Rotary Club is involved in, what CASA does, in the support. And one of the things that I'm asking, a major event happened in my life in 2013. My little granddaughter was born, Mia Isabella Hall, and she is the love of my life. And I make a promise to her that I never want her to go through what those poor little kids did at Sandy Hook. I don't want her to be hiding under tables like those kids at Columbine High School, or running across campus at Virginia Tech. So that's why I'm doing this tonight. This is why this event is so significant. And one of the things that I'm going to ask you each morning before my feet touch the ground, I recite the names of my beloved 13, and they give me the inspiration to move on. And I'm going to share those names with you tonight as we finish. Cassie Bernal, Stephen Kernow, Corey DePuter, Kelly Fleming, Matt Kechter, Daniel Mauser, Danny Rohrbaugh, Dave Sanders, Rachel Scott, Isaiah Scholes, John Tomlin, Lauren Townsend, my beloved 13. And this is what I want to ask of you tonight. It's a time to remember, it's a time of hope. I ask that you do 13 acts of kindness to help a child. You're going to have that opportunity tonight, whether it's your own child, your grandchild, a neighbor child. Do it in memory of those 13. And that's how we honor those kids and all the people that are being helped by these wonderful organizations that is honoring tonight. And I promise you, I refuse to be helpless. I refuse to be hopeless, and I refuse to give up. And there's a Nigerian proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. Well, you are that village. Let's help these kids that need us. It is such an honor for me to be here tonight. God bless you, and I love you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Frank. We appreciate your sharing that story. And, I think Columbine is something that touched all of us, but even all these years later, to hear your perspective on it just brings it all flooding back. And thank you for that reminder about these 13 special people. And I think we all need to do 13 acts of kindness. Want to recognize a few more people who have made contributions tonight. James Hoops at $100, Vicki Rycord, Liz Clark, Barbara Donaldson, Don Mitchie, an anonymous gift, Oliver Grinham, and Kathy Plomer. Thank you all so much for your gifts of $100. Can we take another look at our fundraising total and see where we stand so far in our giving? And so we appreciate all of your gifts. We're at just over $10,000. Thank you so much for your generous support. Please keep those gifts coming in. A reminder, our auction will close tonight at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. So you can continue to make gifts. You can continue to bid on these items. And, this is a roast. And I think we have to end in roast style. I was looking at Bobby, Chris, and Ted the whole time that, like when Frank was giving his rebuttal, they looked like 3 linebackers. If you know anything about linebackers, linebackers are the dumbest human beings on the planet. Right? If you're trying to find out if your kid's going to be a linebacker, what you do is you go to a kindergarten playground. You're looking for the kid who runs into an inanimate object and laughs about it. And I'm not talking about the tricycle that Becky left there 5 minutes ago. I'm talking about the building that's been there for 105 years. That's the future linebacker. These guys, when you said Coach D, I can see all of them thinking, who's Coach D? Like, I'm just saying, their thoughts don't keep them up at night. And with all due respect, I thought that podium was a little bit rude. It could have just ducked down a little bit while Frank was talking. All right, I think that we're going to hand this back over to Greg, or is it? Yes, we're going to hand it back over to Greg.
Me, Reg. Thank you. Let's hear it for Reggie Rivers. This is my last chance to say thank you, Reg. We, of course, want to thank all the members of the Westminster 710 Rotary Club. Many of them or some of them are here tonight, so thank you all for showing your support in person. Everyone in the CASA family who is here tonight, and those watching at home, thank you. Thanks to the Ranch Country Club for hosting us and allow us to broadcast. Big thanks to the crew at Localize, who actually decided to show up a little sober tonight and get this thing on the air, so thank you for that. Many of them I've had the pleasure of working with in jail and out. And our wonderful roasters who did such a great, adequate, somewhat okay job. Let's give them a round of applause. And of course, this event would not be possible without you at home. And as Reggie just mentioned and alluded to, there is still lots of opportunity for you to contribute to these 2 organizations. We would encourage you to do so. Frank, thank you again. Thank you. Namaste, my friend. Thank you very much. Reg and Ed will have you have the final word tonight.
All right, we will close this out in traditional way.
And for all the million-plus Rotary Club members in clubs all around the world, we end up all our Rotary meetings this way with reciting the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it bring goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your generosity. Have a great night, everybody.